Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the show. We've got Everton Newcastle talking points, and well, Everton are a tough watch right now, and you're probably wondering why. Well, turns out to win a game of football, you need to be able to score goals. In the last 2 games, we have not registered 1 shot on target, and in this game, we only registered 1 shot in total. And to put it into perspective, Newcastle centre-back Botman had more chances created by himself than Everton did as an entire team. And there's a lot of issues with that. Today we're going to break it all down. Why can we not score goals? Well, one of the things is the fullback problem. And you're probably wondering how this is. Seamus Coleman is a big problem. I need to talk about him for a second. Seamus Coleman is too slow. If you look at the goal and you see the vision, you will also see that he was the one that just allowed the ball to be swung across. Should I say, he allowed a player to receive across, and ultimately that was the link up that they needed in order to score the goal. If he doesn't ease off, then the team may not have scored that goal, Newcastle. But unfortunately, he's just not holding his weight. He constantly has heavy touches, and it did feel like at times he would always find a way to put the ball into danger. And for a team that doesn't like pressure, this is not very welcomed. Another issue with the fullbacks. Now, if you looked at Newcastle, what they did in the first half and did well, they were getting a lot of opportunities from their fullbacks. Why? Because the fullbacks were making inverted runs, and they were able to, create some overlap and create multiple options. Not only to use them as a bailout option if one of them got trapped, but also to sort of make the Everton defence need to juggle their assignments and realise that, well, we have to pick up 2 players, not 1. On our end, Newcastle's life was made easy for a number of reasons. And this was one of the reasons. We only had wingers attacking and running at the defenders. We had no fullbacks in support making inverted runs. And there was one situation where I think Demarai Gray wanted to take it down the flank. And what did Mykolenko do? He had a bit of space if he just went a little bit more central with his run. But what did he do? He held back because Demarai Gray had taken up the wider area. So it feels as if the fullbacks are afraid to make these runs onto the inside and are much more comfortable to opt for something on the outside, which I don't understand. Also, we got out-muscled extremely badly in a number of situations. Easily knocked off the ball, easily falling over, no stability. Newcastle were able to attack and we were practically one man down every single time one of our players went down. And for a team that was really struggling in holding them at bay and resisting their forward play, we couldn't do this. We couldn't be in this position, but we were. And in the first half, Onana, Idrissa Gana Gueye and Iwobi just got completely overrun in that midfield. It was like a procession for Newcastle. They waltzed their way through, and that's why they had so many attacks, so many opportunities on goal, and looked especially threatening at the back end of the first half. Second half, we come out and we actually looked all right. There was a little bit more intent, a little bit more aggression, stuff that we needed to see from the opening. And we should have been fired up. Newcastle had a very hostile crowd at St. James's Park, and we should have matched that energy, but we didn't. And you cannot afford to not play 90 minutes, especially away from home, which is once again what we did, and fell victim to it. Ultimately, the problem with this team that cannot create opportunities is there is not enough polish. Too many turnovers, too much carelessness, and that is pretty much it. DCL, I actually think, did really well today. He didn't have much to work with, not really any service, but you could noticeably see the hold-up play was much better with DCL, obviously being a taller option, and especially with those long balls being launched by Connor Cody and Tarkowski from the back. It benefits him more so than Mope. And we need a target man up there, which really helped us, but obviously the rustiness showed a little bit, and that is understandable. But it is another step in the right direction. As long as DCL doesn't get injured, I'm happy to see him, make a few mistakes if it helps him get back up to match fitness. I just think another thing with that, DCL did get into an offside position a lot. There was more intent in the second half to attack, and it looked like we were on the front foot more often. It looked like we just had that willingness to try make something. We were constantly pressing forward. There was more space in the middle of the park. We were creating turnover. That was helpful. But honestly, that all counts for absolutely nothing. If you see the goal once again, basically reminiscent of last year's defensive efforts. Easy passing around the edge of the box and no man marking, no willingness to close out. That's how the goal went in. Sure, it actually required a little bit of skill to pull off, a little bit of finesse, but at the same time, it should have never happened to begin with. I just cannot fathom how what we do on the training ground cannot translate over to match day. I mean, there were moments in this game where, even not under pressure initially, we were so nonchalant. There was a few occasions where Onana had 5 yards on his opponent and was just too nonchalant, too relaxed, and then got outrun. Ball snatched off him, he fell to the ground and immediately disadvantaged. Absolutely no cutting edge, and that happened the whole game. And also another thing that's the problem is there's no communication. There was one occasion where the ball was in a good position for us. We were developing an attack. And what happened? No communication. DCL and Iwobi. One of them could have gone for it. They could have picked between them. If they had just spoken a little bit, that would have been resolved. The problem would have been rectified, but no one spoke. And the ball was just allowed to roll right to a Newcastle player. We would have gotten there first if we just talked. And that is another thing that we have missing. Ultimately, there's a few things that need to be fixed. Coleman needs to be benched for starters. He hinders us. There needs to be more attacking emphasis. I don't know how you're going to do that, but you've just got to find a way. There needs to be more aggressiveness and more cutting edge. That is something that should just be brought on a game-by-game basis, and that doesn't need any time to fix. It's just whether you rock up on any given day. And I do know that Frank Lampard will be under pressure for this. And given there's, a few losses that have been built, we haven't won a game in our last 3. We haven't picked up a point in our last 3. But quite frankly, I don't think he can do much apart from potentially instructing the fullbacks to support the wingers higher up the pitch. Apart from that, he cannot show players how to kick a football, execute passes, be smart on it, cope with pressure. Sure, he can support them in that, but he cannot execute it for them. He's standing on the sideline. He's past his playing career. It's down to the players, and the players haven't delivered. As long as these players cannot execute simple passes, we're not scoring goals, we're not getting shots. Because ultimately, you need to be precise, and you need to be able to provide the right amount of weight on the ball. You need to have timing on the pass to, prevent offsides. It's as simple as that. And we just have really lacked that going forward. And as I said before, we looked really good when we could force turnover and then push forward from that. Use that as a starting point. We need to maximize on that strength more often. Regardless, I'm looking for a few things. It was a very toothless performance. We've got Palace in a few days. We need to deliver, and we need to bring aggressiveness right from kickoff. The situation demands nothing less. We've got a good opportunity here to solidify a mid-table spot by the World Cup break. We've got a run of fixtures that do favour us if we can play well enough. Right now, we don't look like scoring a goal. We've got to fix that up right now, urgently. And I don't know where it's going to come from. Frank Lampard, I need you to help us on this. At the same time, the players need to deliver, and they need to realise that, well, if they keep playing like this, they're not going to score a goal, and therefore you're not going to win a game. So, who knows? Who bloody knows? Everton remain a tough watch. Let's hope it improves from here. Before I forget, quick shout out to Anthony Gordon. He's going to be my man of the match. There's not really many to pick from again, but I do think that he was very positive for the majority of the game. I do think for the majority of the game, he held up his end of the bargain. He was aggressive, trying to put in tackles. Even though some of them were rash, I do like the intent. If you're going to have a little bit of fire about you, make Newcastle earn the ball, earn their right to have possession. then I'm all for it if he gives away a cheeky foul. He also looked like he was trying to attack at times. It just didn't come to fruition, but that's also because he didn't have the support. And that is my main piece of advice to Frank Lampard, even though he won't hear me. So yeah, overall, good performance, good bounce back performance. It was a bit of a wake-up call when he went out of the team, not only due to selection, but because of the accumulated yellow cards, which meant he had to miss a game a few weeks later. So I hope that, you know, this Anthony Gordon that we saw tonight is here to stay. I think he'll only get better from here, so hopefully that is the case. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this one. Share your thoughts in the comments. Need to hear them because, man, I need some help during this difficult time where Everton cannot score a goal. It's dire viewing. Anyway, thank you. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon. Peace out.